So Grace is what it's known for, and it always has been throughout the city as well as Woodlawn, is that it's a service church. That's what we're all about. And for me, my heart is for the forgotten, the unnoticed, the underserved. And Respite is in several areas in Birmingham, but where it's not is in an area that is forgotten, it's underserved. And so we're doing something very exciting.
Funding for this program comes from the Mike and Gillian Goodrich Foundation, the Daniel Foundation of Alabama, and the Caring Foundation by Blue Cross Blue Shield of Alabama. They're not the rich and famous. Their profit comes not from the thing they sell, but the good they do. Our nation has more than 1.5 million nonprofit organizations that employ 1 out of 10 Americans, providing services that otherwise go unfulfilled, and keeping our communities connected when all else fails. But nonprofits often lack the tools to properly promote themselves, to inspire more donors and volunteers and clients to their cause. That's where I come in. I've been in the nonprofit world for 25 years. I connect nonprofits with marketing professionals who donate their time and expertise so that, at the end of the day, these life-giving organizations can do more, do better, by creating more, that's right, buzz. Having dementia is hard. So too is caring for someone with dementia. Thankfully, there is a growing movement in Alabama to create church-based respite programs that provide purpose and meaning for those with memory challenges, and a break for their caregivers. On today's Buzz, we share the powerful story of Alabama's growing respite program, and how one Birmingham church is providing some buzz in the low-income community of Woodlawn at its sister parish, Grace Episcopal. And it's here where I first met Father Jose Fernandez.
Well, the church was, started in 1887. It was not in this building. It was in a building that was adjacent to this structure. But in 1924, the community decided that they wanted to have more of a church. And that's when this church was built. It was built in 1924.
Once a vibrant middle-class community, Woodlawn was brought to its knees by white flight and segregation in the 1960s. Today, Grace Episcopal puts its faith into action by helping its neighbors through a variety of programs. Weekday breakfasts and lunches at its community kitchen, weekly groceries from its food pantry, a clothing assistance ministry, meals and housing for veterans in partnership with 3 Hots and a Cot, and legal assistance for immigrant families. And now, working with St. Luke's Episcopal in Birmingham's affluent Mountain Brook community, Grace Episcopal hopes to create a $300,000 senior respite center in its fellowship hall.
It's a beautiful history of the church and a beautiful description of all the programs, but why do you do all of this?
I think that answering why is very easy, right? We have this tendency to talk about Christianity as it is this thing out there that we learn and we practice and we worship. But we need to move Christian love into everyday action, everyday experience action. And this is what we try to do. We are called to be able to feed the hungry, clothe the naked, support the one who is oppressed, make no peace with oppression, care for the widows and the orphans and the migrants. Christian love is more than feeling. Christian love needs to be translated into action. We need to transfer love into doing. And this is a community that is committed to that.
This statewide respite ministry actually began in 2012 at First United Methodist in Montgomery. Called Respite for All, the nonprofit through 2025 has helped launch 65 respite communities in 18 states. To highlight the need, in 2025, Respite for All produced this video in partnership with Tailgate for Joy. And we're honored to share portions of it here on Buzz.
The first time I met Bill, I thought, what a nice guy he is. He was just nice.
We met each other in college. I was a year, maybe 2 years ahead of her.
He was just a guy that didn't play games. I mean, it would be, well, do you want to go out again next weekend? So it was like, well, sure, this is good. I like a guy who's just straight up with this. Bill is an absolutely wonderful dancer. And he has more rhythm. And I just love to dance with Bill White. And I'll just be honest, I fell for him on that dance floor. I chased Bill White all over that campus. I don't think he was ready to settle down, but I had found my Mr. Right, and I was gonna catch him, and I did.
So we got married, and we've been together ever since.
Over the years, looking at my parents' relationship, they were that idealistic couple, the perfect little family.
She's one of the kindest people you'll ever meet. And she's a hell of a teacher. And I'm not worth a damn as a student, but I learned to adapt.
We have always been the best of friends. We traveled a lot, and we really didn't need anybody else to go with us on our travels. We just like to go by ourselves and just be. Emily and I've talked, and we think we could see changes in Bill's behavior 10, 12, 15 years ago. He went from an easygoing, gentle, kind man to angry, reactive, not pleasant at all.
We would get in these insane arguments, and it almost escalated to a screaming match.
I knew that was not Bill White. He just wasn't himself. And he talked about a pinging in his head. If I could get rid of this pinging.
I have to give credit to my mom. She knew there was something wrong. She knew there was something wrong with him, and she went to psychiatrists, she went to the neurologist, she went to the primary care doctor, and they couldn't get a diagnosis.
And then with the further test with Dr. Geldmacher's office, we were given the diagnosis of Alzheimer's. When we got the diagnosis, just who I am, I was gonna fix Bill. We were gonna get this straightened out. I was gonna fix this. I set up a little room, and we were gonna learn how to redraw the clock. I had puzzles. We were trying to put puzzles together. He couldn't do it. Those skills left.
That was maybe the first time in my life that I did see friction between them, or maybe they weren't exactly on the same page. That was difficult to see. It was difficult to see someone who was always just smiling and even-keeled, to see him sad, I guess. As a physician, probably every day I see someone who is struggling with dementia, or I see people who have relatives with dementia. I am actually very much struggling in my practice with how to handle the dementia. I don't know how to help them. I don't know what to do. There are really a lot of research and new drugs being coming out for Alzheimer's, but we don't have a lot of treatment for it.
90% of the needs expressed by families facing dementia fall outside the domain of medicine and tests, but rather in the how-tos, how to provide care, how to improve well-being, how to sustain quality of life within the family.
I feel almost kind of handcuffed with patients or with family members of the patients, because I don't have the resources or the knowledge that I would like to help them with.
There was help to provide care for the person affected by dementia. They could go to daycare or see a doctor. But in terms of enriching the family's life and the well-being of all of those involved in the care of the person with dementia, that wasn't there.
It was just the two of us, and I was kind of like a cruise director, trying to keep him occupied, trying to do this, and we'd have schedules on, I'm gonna take you here, or we're gonna do this day. And then I started needing time away from him as well. And I learned about the respite programs. And quite honestly, I wasn't ready to admit that he needed that.
When Madeline first came to the support group, someone referred her, and she came, and she listened, and she came up to me afterwards, and she said, "This is great, but I just don't think that we need this right now. I think that we will be able to get through this ourselves, and we're very close, we've been married a long time, and this was too upsetting for me." And I said, okay. And I knew in my head at that moment, she'll be back. And about 3 months later, she came to the door and just fell in my arms and said, "I can't do this."
I went in as full of fear, pure fear of, I don't know what to do. I don't know how to do. I don't want this. And Valerie put her arms around me and said, "We will be with you throughout this entire journey."
The vision for the respite ministry began in 2012 when Bishop Lawson Bryan, our senior pastor here at First Methodist in Montgomery, asked if I would begin a dementia ministry for the city, for care partners, for people living with the disease.
We started asking the question, what needs to happen in this community that will not happen unless the church does it? And we got a lot of answers from the mayor, the city council, the social agencies. The one that seemed to match our church best was something for people living with dementia and their families.
I had to sit with that for almost a year. I researched what we could do. Congregational respite has been around for decades. That was not my original idea. So I went and mapped out 2 or 3 that were in the Southeast. I pulled what I thought that would be useful for our program here in Montgomery, and that's how we built our local ministry here. And so what we landed on was between 10 o'clock and 2 o'clock, we were going to begin this awesome volunteer ministry that would serve the community. It would serve early to moderate people living with a diagnosis of dementia. It would give their care partner a break from 10 to 2. What we didn't realize was that it was really going to transform all of our lives. My mother worked with something called the Extension Service, and one of her pet projects was senior adults. And every October, for as long as I can remember, she would check me out of school for something called Elder Camp. And for 3 days, she would take about 300 seniors up to a big church camp. Greyhound buses would be donated. She had talent shows. She had continuing education classes through the day. I think the governor came one year. I was the only child. For 18 years, I was checked out of school for 3 days. And those people had such a great community and a joyful atmosphere. I look forward to it every year. It was the first time that I recognized that people really wanted purpose, and they wanted community, and they wanted to be together, and they wanted to grow together. And when I got into my adult life, and I knew that I wanted to work with seniors, when the chance for respite came along, I really think I've patterned respite around Elder Camp.
It's a group of people, volunteers as well as our friends, and then the friends, caregivers, who are all there to love one another. And that's it. We walk in, there are hugs, I'm happy to see you again.
We give them a standing ovation, clap our hands as they walk through the door, which makes them feel really welcome.
We play games, we laugh, we joke, we just do it all. And to see that these people are living with memory loss is amazing, that you can still have fun, purpose, meaning in life.
In 2015, Valerie Boyd came to Canterbury.
And one of the first things that I wanted to do was start a support group for caregivers who were caring for loved ones who had Alzheimer's or dementia.
She found out about this program in Montgomery called Respite, and she went down and visited, and all I could hear from her was, "You have got to go see this program, you have got to go see this program." And she said, it's a joyful place. And I doubted that, actually. I couldn't imagine such a program existed.
I was a little intimidated, as I think many volunteers are, just about the idea of working with people living with dementia.
The negative stigma exists before you become associated with a program like Respite.
You come in thinking that these people aren't going to be able to interact. They're not going to be able to do puzzles. They're not going to be able to do a challenging art project. But with the trust that they start to gain in us, they start to gain confidence in themselves.
What we see is people still able to have joy, still able to call back some memories, sing music that they remember, enjoy things still. And seeing the joy in their faces brings joy to everybody.
I realized that this program was something that we needed at Canterbury.
These programs are filled with happiness and genuineness. It's just a beautiful thing to see. They greet Bill with a smile, they greet him with conversation, a pat on the back, or hey buddy, what kind of hat you wearing today?
It's a very good group. It's kind of like a bond. It could be like a little fraternity.
And honestly, he needs that camaraderie with men. He's around me all the time, and he's really not around that many more people. It's the people in Encore and the Respite programs that give him a social life. He looks forward to going every time we drive over there. And he gets back in the car talking about those are the happiest, nicest people I've ever been around. Mad, I just love it.
The friendships are fostered very easily. The participants, they're really happy. I've gotten so many responses from our caregivers about the change that they've noticed, even in their behavior, how they're feeling. They want to come.
They smile, they laugh, they're able to communicate better.
It's a very healing thing. It's a kind of a spiritual experience, even though this isn't necessarily, at least this chapter, based on a religious program. It still is a spiritual experience. I feel every week that I come here, we have this sort of release that we get to feel.
Susanna Whitsett helped create St. Luke's Episcopal Church's Respite program called Founder's Place, and is one of her church's leaders in the partnership with Grace Episcopal.
And these two churches have very different cultures, as most churches do, but they are linked strongly by a years-long partnership. One of the primary ways that St. Luke's has been a partner to Grace Episcopal is through funding their organ. And music is such an important part of every worship service. And in that way, St. Luke's is present here every Sunday, every time that organ is played. And we're very, very excited about expanding the partnership, about supporting the effort of Respite here in Woodlawn, where that need is not currently being met.
Now Susanna and her colleague, Ellie Johnson, are working with Grace Episcopal's Rebecca Williams to create its own senior respite program.
So Grace is what it's known for, and always has been throughout the city as well as Woodlawn, is that it's a service church. That's what we're all about. And for me, my heart is for the forgotten, the unnoticed, the underserved. And so I'm here with a purpose, and I found my purpose, and it's at Grace. And Respite is in several areas in Birmingham, but where it's not is in an area that is forgotten, it's underserved. And so we're doing something very exciting.
I think people want to overcomplicate respite care. They want to overcomplicate caring for this population that needs love and can give a lot of love too. We're not just giving, we receive so much more than sometimes we give ourselves, and I walk away feeling that often. And it's music, it's art, it's community, fellowship.
Fun.
It's lively. It's like a cocktail party
Right.
and a Sunday school class just together. I walk away from respite care every time we're together and my face hurts because my smile just
She's
won't go
not-
away.
she's not lying.
I got to do my face exercises. Like, you know, it's contagious.
She's so true.
It's contagious. And, you know, when you walk in the room and if you're feeling low, whether it's me or you or someone living with dementia-related brain changes, we lift one another up. We meet each other where we are, and then we slowly go up. And it's beautiful.
It is.
Last night's dinner, it touched me in a way that I haven't been touched before. And I think it really meant a lot to Madeline and Bill, watching them connect. And she said later that they had not talked about some of those things and connected in that way.
I'm going to tell you, the thought of you going to Encore, to the Respite program, was tough for me. I knew it would be good for you, but I wasn't ready to admit that you were going to be hitting the balloon with a noodle. And the thought that my Bill White would do that had me in tears until I learned how much fun it was to do that. And I'm thinking, everybody on this earth ought to be doing that, you know? I mean, I'm like, we went to Bill's mother's 100th birthday party, September 1st, and I'm always in charge of fun. What did I bring? I went to the Dollar Tree, I bought noodles and balloons. I am where I am in this journey with my precious Bill because of what I've learned in Encore support group.
The friendships that have occurred have come totally uninvited but thank God, it has shown me something that what did I miss before? I mean, it's like, where has this been?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sitting there going to Madeline and say, how'd it go? I said, you won't believe it. It touched my heart. It's been a process. I thought I was Superman. You know, I can do it. I learned I couldn't do it by myself. And each day it's a challenge. But you know what? Life is a challenge.
Quite honestly, I have a lot of fear about how much more Bill will progress, how quickly he will progress. And it was almost too much for me.
The narrative of dementia is that our life is over once we've gotten a diagnosis, right? That's why people don't go to the doctor. They don't want to hear it because they think their life is going to be over once they hear those words. There is so much more living to be done. There is so much more living. Respite for All provides the community of 50 new friends. Do you know how hard it is to make a new friend after you've had a diagnosis of Alzheimer's or dementia? It's almost impossible, right? But in our ministry, 4 hours a day, you're meeting multiple people through the week who care about you, who miss you, who look for you, who need your presence. There's a spirituality that's in every single one of our ministries and programs that we all share. We do have secular programs, but there's something more. It's not about religion. It's not about theology. It's about being a part of something greater than ourselves.
These are human values of community, the dignity of the human being and the capacity of humans to be resilient and to be alive in fresh ways. So this is basic humanity that we're dealing with here.
If we believe that people are born with an innate dignity, then we can be any denomination, we can be any size, we can be any, we can be a community center, we can be a synagogue, we can be an Islamic center, we can be anything. Any organization with the heart for people needs to be in the business of caring for people with dementia.
I think back to Elder Camp. I think to Respite now. We are growing every day.
It's rather amazing for a local church, or any group really, to be able to be on the leading edge of addressing a major social need for which nobody else knows what to do.
It's going to change the world. It's a model that any church can do. It's not that hard. And there's a blueprint with Respite for All that can make this such an easy program. If you have a parent or a sibling who has dementia, this might be something you would champion.
If you've been affected by this disease and you want to do something to make a difference, I'm begging you, give us a call.
You don't have to be alone in this.
Once you see the love that's in the room and the interaction between everyone, you'll be hooked.
This is one of the most magical, transformational things you will ever attempt to do.
It's as easy as being with any friend.
We can all find a place at the table here.
This is a ministry from the heart of God, and God is waiting on you.
We are a community of brothers and sisters. Our goal is to reclaim joy together and to live on in this friendship revolution that we've created.
We are just beginning.